It's hard to say this, but it seemed like Khamenei actually had a moderating role based on how we're now witnessing the IRGC is behaving. They be crazy. Right? They're like, we are very comfortable with how things are going, and we're not gonna let the Americans get away from this. And let's just and all the signals that they're putting out there is no surrender and all in. Even Arakshi, for example. So Arakshi has now a new lead. Like, I don't know who's giving orders to Arakshi now, but it used to be Khamenei. So Arakshi has new bosses who's like, it's not Mujtaba. By the way, if you're wondering if it's Mujtaba, it's not Mujtaba. Okay, we just went through a coup d'etat in Iran. Okay, like a lot of people haven't noticed, but the IRGC is now fully in charge, and Mujtaba is irrelevant for now. Okay, so the Council of the Supreme Leadership showed that it was irrelevant based on what Pezeshkian did and how the IRGC responded. The Council of Experts that picks the supreme leader. I think in English they call it the Assembly of Experts. Yeah, that was irrelevant because IRGC picked the supreme leader. It wasn't the Assembly of Experts as it's supposed to be by the Constitution. And they pretend that it was them, but it wasn't them. It was the IRGC. So Arakshi came out and said, we're not at all interested in even talking to the Americans right now. So President Trump wants to surrender. Arakshi is like, we're not even going to talk, right? So all of this shows that even if the Americans wanted to stop these military operations, the IRGC is not giving them anything that could be sold as a surrender, right? So President Trump also mentioned that picking Mujtaba as the supreme leader is unacceptable, and he also said that the next leader needs to be something that he approves, which is like it's not something that is even on the books when it comes to what IRGC is able to tolerate. Um, I get the question might be, why are they doing this? Like, are they really that confident that they are going to defeat the Americans? And the answer to that is that depends on what you mean by defeat, right? IRGC thinks that as long as we don't have complete collapse, they're winning. Okay, because their understanding is, well, the Americans can't just stay here forever, obviously. And if they go, once they go, well, we have oil and gas and we will rebuild everything. I mean, the worst outcome, like if we surrender, they will come and replace us and we will lose everything. That's their understanding. So we shouldn't surrender. If we don't surrender, at some point, these people are going to go home. And the way for us to stay in power is to make sure that our followers are continuing to support us. Bending the knee to President Trump will make us lose that, right? So imagine if they have, I don't know, let's say, for example, for the argument's sake, they have 6% support, all right? That's the 6% that they need to rule. They need 6%. That's their entire that's their peoples. The 6% of Iran is their people. That's all they need to be able to continue acting like a parasite and sucking the wealth of Iran, their resources and everything they have. They need to just make sure that the Iranian people who want regime change, well, we have the guns, they don't. We could keep them down. The Americans and Israelis, they bomb us, but eventually they have to stop. They don't as powerful as they are. They don't have endless weapons. They don't have endless missiles. They don't have endless interceptors. So eventually they have to go. And eventually, not only this is not bad for us, this is actually really good for the 6% that we have, right? Because from their perspective, imagine once all of this is over and the day that you see that the airstrike carriers are now moving away from the Middle East, right? What if I need that 6% to continue to rule? Then imagine the messaging I have now. I was like, the most powerful forces in the history, the most powerful military forces in the history of warfare came right to our doorstep to do regime change, and they left, and we're still here. If that does not prove that God is on our side, that this is the army of the Mahdi, that nothing can take us away, then what else will? So, and not only that, so from IRGC, we're like, you know what, this is actually not that bad, right? Because we were trying to be the main power in Iran, and they just came in and they took out Khamenei for us, right? So there was always a competition behind the scene between the supreme leadership and IRGC. So the remaining people in IRGC, they never thought that they will have this much of a high of a ranking. Right? Not only Khamenei is gone, not only now we have a supreme leader that is our puppet. These third layer people, they're like, wow, I just got a promotion because everybody above me was taken out. So this is all the resources, all the oil and gas money from Iran. If we survive this, is for us to keep. So this is such an for them, this is like such a encouragement of going more radical. Put yourself in their position. If they bend the knee, they will lose the support of some of the 6%, and eventually that means that they will be toppled and they will have nothing. If they resist and eventually the Americans and Israelis stop, then they have everything, because there's nobody else to share it with. The people who used to be in charge are gone. So now these third layer leaders, they're like, what? Everything is left for us. So the choice is between nothing and everything left. So that's why they have to double down. And that's why it's like very, like, even if you're the Americans, like, so Israelis have been for regime change for a very long time. But as Americans, even if you were not for regime change before, you kind of have to be right now, because this version of the Islamic Republic that is going to be left for us is so much worse than the one before it, because its entire legitimacy will come from standing up to America and standing up to Israel. And also, like, any form of compromise would be seen as giving in to the people who killed our supreme leader. So, guys, imagine how difficult it was for Khamenei to manage to justify speaking with the Americans, given that President Trump killed Qasem Soleimani. That was such a hard sell before. So imagine how big of a sell, much more of a difficult sell it's going to be right now to compromise with the Americans, given that they killed the supreme leader, and given that they don't have a supreme leader to justify like backing down. Like before, the Islamic Republic would talk aggressively, and then when they didn't needed to compromise, they will back down, and Khamenei will come and give it a justification to basically calm down the hardliners. Right? He was the calming force. So, like, guys, this is why we're doing this, okay? And we're actually like, he will try to justify it as if like strategically they're destroying them rather than militarily. But we don't have that figure anymore. There's like Mojtaba Khamenei doesn't have that influence over the hardliners. Look, guys, we have Mojtaba Khamenei. We the only video we have of him speaking is a video of him canceling his online course. That's the only video of him coming out and putting a video of them like, guys, sorry, I'm canceling the course. And for some reason, by the way, for some odd reason, in that video from a couple of years ago, he mentions, I don't know why he had to add that his father doesn't know that he's canceling his courses. By the way, let me tell you, these courses is very important. Like, you might think that these are religious courses, right? Religious courses that you give to people, and it might, for a lot of people, don't understand the importance of this, because they think it's just basically an educational material for people who want to learn about Islam and stuff. You teaching people in Shia Islam is your legitimacy to be a marja, right? So just like a university professor who has to if you want to be a professor, you need to have this many articles. To be a marja, to be like an ayatollah, you need to have certain hours of teaching other high ranking ulama of Islam, Islamic fiqh and jurisprudence, and all the Sharia and the Islamic philosophy and all of that. Like, you need to get this in, because it's very interesting, because when Khomeini died, Khamenei was like speed running through putting courses out there, right? Like teaching people just so that he could get to the Ayatollah, claim to be an Ayatollah and a Mujtahid, for him to have his credibility to be a supreme leader. So Mujtaba needed to, for so many years, like, because Khamenei was making him ready to be the supreme leader. So you could see him like going to seminars and basically teaching people about Islamic fiqh to get the legitimacy to be this Islamic, to have the is, Islamically be a high enough level for him to be an Ayatollah that can be the supreme leader. So I don't know exactly the details of what you exactly need to get to that position, but I know you need a lot, right? So whenever you see them communicating about their Islamic courses, that is politics. That is not just like courses. It's not like just a hobby or something. These are the reasons. I mean, we have other signals that from the Americans that they're not backing down. The Americans are signaling that the worst for the Islamic Republic is still to come. So, like, just yesterday, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth warned that the U.S. was preparing for its most intense day of strikes, and they're yet to dismantle the Islamic Republic's missile production completely. They said they're going to keep doing it until they bring it to a zero. And also, for the signals that we're getting from Israel has expanded its target list in the past 24 hours. The IDF has launched fresh, wide-scale waves of attacks targeting Tehran, Isfahan, and southern Iran, while at the same time ordering evacuations and bombing Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon. So no sign. I mean, things might change, but no signs from either side regarding de-escalations right now. All right, let's go down the list.
Okay, next we have Cat Lady.
My turn now. Yeah, I'm on a different system, so I hope you can hear me good. There was a TV show in Israel that showed, I'm not sure it's like the only one, but I saw a TV show that showed a list of like the wanted or the almost dead or half dead IRGC members and Iranian like regime, names. And they explained each one what they did, what they remember them for, why do they like deserve it. And at the end of the list, they showed, they said, who is not on the list? Pezeshkian. And why? Because he doesn't matter. I thought it was funny. It's not an official thing, it's a TV show, but it's still, yeah, it's not so. I also heard that maybe they chose Mujtaba exactly because if he's like already dead or whatever, we cannot kill him again. So it's like maybe it serves them in a way that it's a leader which is not really there or whatever, but it's a French thing. Never mind. But I have one issue that I don't know. It's like Hezbollah was bombed so many times and hurt so many times, and it's still giving a fight, which is so frustrating, and it's so scary to see because we think, oh, this time it will be okay. This time it will be, and Hezbollah just this week gave a lot of like they are giving a fight again. Like, what are they fighting with? It's like it's frustrating. I don't know. It's like it seems like what are they made of? Why can't they die? I don't know. It's like so. I hope it won't be like that in other places like Iran or whatever. But it is a thing that Israelis are. We know this reality, sadly, that We think it's done, but it's not.
This is why the fight is an ideological fight. You're not just doing a military battle. As long as we have the Islamic ideology, we will always have an enemy to fight, right? So this is why to fight this war, you need to long term. We need to be thinking about reaching to the next generations of these people and try to de-radicalize them as well. Military strategy is not enough, right? But I mean, go through within the Islamic Republic. Let me go through the. So you mentioned the list of the people that are left. This is the list I have, right? So we have the Larijani brothers, Ali Larijani and Sadiq Larijani. Sadiq is less important right now. He chairs the a council. I don't know how to mention it in English. The expediency council, I think. But Ali Larijani is more important. He he seems. I mean, before, well, I don't know how much of how influential he is right now, but right before the announcement of Mujtaba as the supreme leader, he seemed to be the main guy that was managing the day-to-day regime operations and security, and as the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council following the strikes. So Ali Larijani seems to be one of the most important person within the Islamic Republic right now. And then we have Hossein Nejat, which is the deputy commander of IRGC's Sarullah headquarters. That is, a lot of people don't know how important Sarullah is because, I mean, this guy is in charge of securing Tehran. So that's critical for the survival of the regime. Tehran, if Tehran falls, basically the Islamic Republic falls, right? So Hossein Nejad is basically guarding Tehran. So if we want to basically do regime change, we need to go through him and Sarullah, right? And then we have Ali Abdullahi, which is deputy chief staff of the armed forces. His role has been elevated as well. Um, I think he's in charge of Khatam al-Anbiya. Yeah, I think he's the guy in charge of Khatam al-Anbiya, which is one of the most influential, richest part of the IRGC. And then we have Ahmed Vahidi, which is he was a former interior minister and veteran of the IRGC, but now he is like the in charge of the IRGC after the person before him was killed. And then we have Ejei. I think you guys know Ejei. He's the Chief Justice, the head of the judiciary. He was also part of the Council of the Supreme Leadership. So the interim leadership council. So basically, that acted as the Supreme Council, but that as the Supreme Leader, but that council is no longer there, given that Mujtaba has been chosen. Obviously, by the way, guys, obviously ahead of all of these people is Mujtaba. That's a given. Actually, Mojtaba Khamenei is very influential. Even though the IRGC is the main decision maker, they need Mojtaba right now for to keep people on the side of the Islamic Republic. Like, he's a puppet of the IRGC right now, but he's a very important puppet. Like, he's very much needed. And also, he's been missing. Like, we don't even know if he's actually alive. There's different reports that he might have lost his leg. We know for sure that his mother, not only his father has died in these strikes, but his mother has died, his sister has died, his kid has died, and his wife has died as well. So he pretty much lost almost his entire family, immediate family, Mujtaba Khamenei, which I don't know what kind of a person he is, given that we don't see him much, but that might make him a lot more radical. Like, nobody in his family, I think most of people, I think he has some other children that are still alive, but all of his like most of his immediate family is dead. Oh, by the way, Mujtaba is actually more radical. Mujtaba Khamenei has been more radical than his father when it comes to use of force. So when it comes to religious affairs, he might not be as radical, but when it comes to use of force, he's extremely radical, like way more than his father. So that's a huge concern. So you mentioned Pezeshkian is not that important. Yeah, when it comes to having a say, Pezeshkian is absolutely like close to irrelevant. And we saw that as you saw just recently, Pezeshkian came out and said that we're not going to attack anybody, and immediately after they started attacking the countries in the region. However, killing him will be very symbolic that nothing in the Islamic Republic is the same. So I think there's, taking him out would be beneficial. And then, oh, somebody very important is Ghalibaf, Muhammad Baqir Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Parliament, the Majlis, which is a central figure within the Islamic Republic right now, one of the most influential people right now. And then we have Ahmad Reza Radan. Radan is the number one person when it comes to suppressing the protests. He's the commander in chief of Faraja, which is basically the unit the Islamic Republic created to suppress Iranian people protesting. So the fact that he's alive still confuses a lot of Iranian people. They think that he should have been one of the first people to go, given that like the whole point of the strikes right now is to reduce the suppressing ability of the Islamic Republic. Well, if anybody is responsible right now for suppressing the protests, is Radan. But Radan is very, very cruel. So it's Iranian people hate him so much. So three other people that I think will be so important to make sure the Islamic Republic is completely gone is Hassan Rouhani, Hassan Khomeini, and Muhammad Khatami. These three people are the. If I wanted to pick, if Mojtaba Khamenei dies, and if there's any part of the Islamic Republic that wanted to signal surrender to the Americans, they will make one of these three people the next supreme leader. So, as a way to basically surrender and keep the Islamic Republic alive. Given the way that the IRGC is behaving right now, it seems very unlikely that they're willing to go with any of these people. That would be like the hardliners that support the Islamic Republic will not at all tolerate that. But given that that's the only way for the Islamic Republic to tap out and survive, I think taking out these three people, the so-called reformist moderates, would be a signal that the Israelis and Americans are going for a complete destruction of the Islamic Republic. And honestly, the Iranian people are looking forward to these people's death more than some of the IRGC leaders that I mentioned to you guys. The reformers are so much more hated by the Iranian people than many of the hardliners.
Okay, next we have Susanna.
Hello. Okay, so I haven't been able to watch the show this morning because I was caught up at work. What is the over under on if Mushtaba is even alive? What are we thinking right now? Because y'all start bringing out a cardboard cutout of the man, and I start to get real worried. Okay, like how much do you think he's actually alive right now? That's number one, because I have questions. Number two, everything you were saying earlier was making me think about how it would be really good if you maybe on the live show or something like actually talked about how the system of the religious authority within Shia Islam works, because a lot of people have a really bad understanding of that. Like, what does it mean to be a marja? Like, why is that important? What is this chain of emanation? Like, who even cares? Like, talking about how Khamenei himself faked his religious credentials would just be really fun. And then talking about how Mushtaba's religious credentials were like openly faked, and even like hardliner Shia clerics were talking shit about him and criticizing how openly they faked any of his authority. It'd just be fun to laugh at them, honestly, because they're losers. So that's just a suggestion. But I tried to pull up on Polymarket to see if Polymarket even thinks that he's alive. I don't know. People are saying they're betting 57% chance that he makes a public appearance by the end of the month. I don't know,
50
bro.
what?
Polymarket is saying 51%, 57% chance, up 5%, that he will make a public appearance by the 31st.
Wow.
I don't know, bro.
We know, it seems like we know that he was targeted. That we know. We know that his kid, his father and mother, his sister, his wife died in the attack. Assuming that he was next to them, then that means that, you know, if he's alive, he survived something that killed like a lot of his family. We know that he's injured, probably injured because the Islamic Republic calls him a John Buzz, right? So the reason why, I mean, we're not seeing him right now, maybe he's, I don't know, disfigured or like what happened. We know, like a lot of people are saying he lost his leg. But when it comes to the cardboard cutout, is that video? Because I know there's two videos. Okay, there's one cardboard cutout with a cutout, which is just his picture, and that is real. But the other one with his full body cardboard cutout, like, is that real? Some people are saying it's fake, but it's being posted by so many places that we usually consider to be like. Let me actually show it to you guys. Let me know what you think. Because if this is a fake, this is the best AI fake video I've ever seen in my life. So let's switch this. Wait, this is, let me stop the music. All right, let's switch it again. Help me out, guys. Is this fake?
Dude, I think it's real. I think it's real because I saw other photos of the guy that was holding that, and it's like very, very high crisp image of that guy. Like, so there I'm not 100% sure, but I've seen other photos from that event, and it's like close-ups of that man and his face that look way, way, way too crisp to be AI. I think it's real.
Yeah.
'Cause
If
The
this is
movement on
AI,
the cardboard as well is so accurate, like, look at the head and the lower like, as they move together, the reflection of the light, that is real.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, I mean, if this is AI, I mean, the Allah and the flags don't change, and they are usually in AI. Something so detailed moves a little bit, or is not constant. Like you see, the Allah is like
well, and the
Allah
calligraphy
and
in
the,
the background looks right. You know, normally it has a hard
yeah,
time with calligraphy that is that detailed.
and it's a video. It's not like an image. Usually, like sometimes if it's so, I don't know if this is AI. This is the best AI video I've ever seen. If it is AI, so somebody, I'm I'm glad that these people are so ridiculous that we think that this could be. What a time to be alive! That this could actually be real. But wow, somebody, somebody figured this out because I don't know if it's real or not. Okay.
Armin, isn't it the same footage where they brought his picture like in a frame because like
No,
they
yeah, that's
couldn't
that
bring
that
him?
one is real. That one, yeah,
No,
that's
no,
what I
no.
mentioned
I know
earlier.
it's real. I just curious if this video took from the same like from the same
Yeah.
stage when they brought his portrait.
Yeah, it is the same stage. I know. I could tell that it's the same stage, but yeah, I can't. We need to. Somebody, please figure this out. I mean, Tusi is posting it as real. Open source Intel is posting it as real. I mean, if it's not real, so many people fell for it. Okay, so yeah, Gemini, I think is AI. I mean, Gemini is not good. I've been giving real video that I've taken, like real video that I recorded myself to Gemini, asked it if it's real, and Gemini has told me it's AI. So I don't, I don't trust AI right now with figuring out what's AI. I was like, what do you mean it's AI? I recorded it. So just tested
Also,
it.
Armin,
So yeah.
what is going on with Ismail Khani? I'm really I'm really curious.
But- Well, let's go focus on
Okay.
the topic that we're like. Yeah. So by the way, I just want to ask Susie, what do you think? Like, do you like? How do you? What do you think regarding him being alive or dead? Like, do you have any?
Dude, I mean, it's real sketchy. I think it would be very much like to their advantage to have him be like alive, but only in cardboard. Like, I genuinely think it would be to their advantage to fake that he's alive so that they can be doing what they want to do, like in his name, but not have to ever produce him. But a kind of a follow-up question is like there is no way that the cult of personality that surrounded Ali Khamenei, because as much as we hate him, he did genuinely have a cult of personality around him. So did Khomeini. There's no way that Mujtaba has this same cult of personality at
He
all.
doesn't. He
So
doesn't.
they're kind of screwed either way.
Yeah. And okay, so let me talk about the. Do I have time to talk about this other thing that you're asking regarding the ranks, the religious ranks that people have, right?
Yeah, if you
Let me
want to
just
talk about
go.
it. You don't have to do it
Okay,
today.
so we have like, let me just quickly do this because this is actually interesting. We have mujtahid, we have ayatollah, we have marja, right? Who's your, like, we have a joke like, who's your marja? Right, anyways. Okay,
Who is your
so
marja? This is what Shias say to each other when they're like accusing each other of being part of like bad Shias. And they're like, who do you
yeah.
follow? Who do you follow? Who is your marja? Like, they're like, this man is sus. Like, I don't trust him. Who does he follow? He's part of the Shirazis. It's a whole conspiracy. Shias have conspiracies against other Shias. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. So Mujtahid, this is a scholar who has reached a level of ijtihad. Ijtihad is somebody who could, like, the gates of ijtihad has opened. I'm not going to go into that, right? So this basically means that this person in real life, it means that this person has studied fiqh, fiqh, which is Islamic law, right? And theology, jurisprudence for decades, and basically they're deemed qualified to interpret Islamic sources independently. Like, they don't need to use somebody else. They're a source of information for what Islam actually says, right? They do basically, a mujtahid is somebody who no longer follows another scholar's ruling. They make their own ruling. So that's the mujtahid. And then we have ayatollah, which literally means ayat means sign. Allah means God. So sign of God. Like, ayatollah means that you're literally proof of God's existence. Like, you're a sign of God, right? Like in the Quran, the verses of the Quran are called ayah because each verse is a proof of God's existence. So this is actually, if I was a Sunni, I would be very offended that somebody is calling themselves a sign of God, given that ayah is something you usually refer to like the
Or Ruhollah.
yeah.
Ruhollah
So,
Khomeini was bold. That's a
oh
bold choice of
yeah,
words.
Ruhollah. Yeah, spirit of God. Yeah, that's pretty shirky. So Ayatollah is basically this is a really highly prestigious title granted to recognize mujtahid. So mujtahid is first, and then if you're really recognized, who is widely respected, teaches advanced seminary classes. So the teaching part is important. You can't be just teaching like low level seminary classes. You have to go really advanced, and you have to also show that you have a strong following, which neither Khamenei or Mujtaba, neither Ali Khamenei or Mujtaba Khamenei showed before they became the supreme leader. So they technically should not be ayatollahs. Like Khomeini, for example, he was an ayatollah. Like, he was like definitely ayatollah. But Khamenei and Mujtaba, when they first became ayatollah, people were like, who? So they weren't as recognized as a mujtahid for them to be considered an ayatollah, right? I mean, nobody like Mujtaba is like, we haven't even seen him as much. So how has he managed to become? He's basically speed run through like becoming an ayatollah. And then we have Marja. Marja is basically like a grand ayatollah, right? Meaning he's a source of emulation, which is also kind of offensive if I was a Sunni Muslim, because Muhammad is supposed to be the only source of emulation. But this is the absolute highest rank, which is Amarja is an Ayatollah, like Ayatollah Sistani, for example, in Iraq, right? Is a Marja Ayatollah who has published, which is basically a manual of Islamic ruling, and has a massive following of everyday Shia Muslims who emulate their religious rulings, right? So, for example, if I was Sistani, which is a proper Marja in Iraq, I would like look at Khamenei and I would consider him to be like, I don't know, like such a like a university student compared to a professor, right? Like, if I was Sistani, every time people would refer to Khamenei as a marja, I would be basically laugh inside, like, this pathetic, like he doesn't understand Islam. In fact, not only like, actually, Khomeini has famously told Khamenei that he hasn't even began to understand the concept of Vilayat Faqih. This is the most insulting thing that Khomeini one day told Khamenei, that he has no understanding of the concept of guardianship of the jurist or the vilayat faqih, and that was on record, right? And not that many people know that, because that's such a big, that's such a big insult, right? So let me see. Ali Khamenei and his status. Like, maybe I could talk about this later because this is getting long, but we could talk about the controversy and how he faked being an ayatollah and how he wasn't. I mean, Khamenei, when they picked him as the supreme leader, this has been recorded on video. Like, we have a video of that. The Khamenei is saying that, I'm from a religious perspective, I'm not actually qualified to be the supreme leader. He said that. We have videos of that, right? And those videos were supposed to be secret, but eventually they were leaked. And he said, even looking around him, that there are people here. So Hashemi Rafsanjani made him the supreme leader. And Hashemi Rafsanjani in that video says this is just temporary, right? He said this is temporary. Like, when Khamenei said, well, I'm not qualified religiously to be the supreme leader, and this violates the constitution of the Islamic Republic, Hashemi Rafsanjani says, like, it's okay, this is temporary. We'll figure this out later. But eventually, not only did it became permanent, Khamenei killed Hashemi Rafsanjani eventually. The person that made Khamenei the supreme leader, Khamenei eventually, when he gained absolute power with the help of the IRGC, eventually killed Hashemi Rafsanjani. Anyways, I think that's too much, like, enough detail for today. We could get into more details later. By the way, I love how much Susie loved these things. Like, I really enjoy. Like, I remember when I was talking about how these courses, how important these courses are, I could see her in the background going like this, and I really enjoy the fact that Susie enjoys these details.
Dude, the girls are
Right.
fighting. They're over in the corner like, your shoes, whack. Your clothes, whack. Your understanding of the guardianship of the jurist, whack.
Okay, let's go through the list.
Okay, next we have a question from the chat. Shauna is asking, there was a foiled terrorist attack in NYC this weekend. The media has framed this in such a way to avoid saying the evil, scary word, quote, Muslim. How can we raise the alarm as the average person to avoid becoming France and Britain?
I mean, how do you raise the voice? By speaking out. I mean, that's how we all raise our voice. But, like, if you come up with more detailed strategies, I mean, I could tell you what we're doing here is we are basically using this platform right now in this community for us to talk about it, and then try to amplify it on different social media outlets, and then hopefully try to get connected to influential people within politics and media to communicate this with them. This is something Susanna has been very successful doing when it comes to meeting with politicians and learning how to do lobby work. So,
Low key, I've
but
given up on them though, but that's
well, well, yeah. I mean, so alternative media is the key right now. And the main thing we could do is to continue supporting, either getting involved or supporting or being part of the media outlets that are doing exactly that. Like Goli Gamari, Tusi, Sahar TV, Tal, all these people, and us here, like you being here and talking about this and supporting us. We just need to add our voice to try to figure out the most effective way to add our voice to everybody else that is out there. It's basically finding what the truth is, and then presenting it in a way that resonates with people, and trying to amplify it as much as possible. And that's the whole point of this community right here, right now, right? So if you're asking what that looks like, it looks like exactly this. It looks like exactly what we're doing right now. One thing I do want to mention, that given that it's likely that these attacks are happening from the Islamic Republic. Let me actually mute somebody because I hear the microphone is open. Given that this this the New York City attack, was that at a synagogue? No, that was a different one.
it
No,
was
no,
Because
outside
there
of the mayor's house.
Okay, there was another one that I heard Goldie reading out that was attack. Was that more recent? There was another one that just happened.
There's been some attacks on synagogues or Jewish sites in Toronto.
Oh, the Toronto. Okay. So there's multiple attacks that are happening right now, and I think it could be very much that the Islamic Republic right now is desperate to show some Americans or some Jews being killed as a way to demonstrate that they're doing something to their followers. Jews all around the world, especially right now, are very much at risk. Any Jew dying anywhere in the world right now, the Islamic Republic is going to go to his followers and say, "See, we did it!" Like, because they right now look really pathetic. So a lot of the people within the Islamic Republic, a lot of the supporters of the Islamic Republic, are really thirsty for blood and revenge, and they demand the Islamic Republic give them that. Right. So they need to show some Jews or some Americans somewhere dying. The Islamic Republic really needs that to
Armin, can I
satisfy them.
clarify the
Yeah,
attack for you for just a second?
yeah, of course.
So the what happened was there was a protest against essentially like the Islamification of America. There were counter protesters who came out, but then an 18 and a 19-year-old, a Turk and I forget the other, came out and they were ISIS inspired. They were holding up the number one finger. They threw
Oh,
homemade
I saw that.
explosive devices that ended up not working to try and attack the groups and the police and things that were surrounding.
Ooh.
Okay, so that
Armin,
was
you
the
know what I
older.
said? Watch out for the Turks.
This is I saw that happening a few days ago. So there has been. So I thought you were guys talking about the more recent one that just happened. There are two more attacks that just recently happened. So one was in Toronto. So yes, I mean that one is obviously Islamic. That one they're still denying that one. They're still not linking that one to Islam. Like that is that one that I thought that by now they would have confirmed it.
Her point was
I
just
know.
that they're not using the word Muslim. Like they really
Oh,
try to beat around the bush. And I think her issue, it seems, is the media isn't calling out what the real issue is here, and how do we
yeah,
as average people like bridge that,
yeah.
because a lot of people see these attacks, but again, the media is trying to be PC at the cost of us.
Yeah. I mean, also, just to be more fair, not all media is like that. Like, I think Fox News is pointing it out as Islamic and calling the guy Muslim, right? So, um, so it's not like all lost. And, yeah, there are parts of mainstream media that is doing its job properly. So it's not all bad. And I do think that the media outlets that are, you know, being dishonest and PC, I think a lot of people they're losing their viewership. I do think a lot of people understand that these people are not being honest with them. But again, it's not all. It's like it's not all media. Like when Fox News has been good when it comes to reporting these. That's my understanding. I see the list
Next,
getting
we have
longer.
another question from chat. This comes from Eric, and he asks, do you think the regime will use the women's football team to show the world that they are nice, forgiving guys, or make an example of them when inside Iran?
Yeah. So the how many of them are going back? Do we know?
The last I saw, 6 of them had been saved.
Okay. So the women's football team of Iran in Australia, for people who have been following, they refused to sing the national anthem of the Islamic Republic, and there was within Iran a very big personality of the Islamic Republic state TV said that these people have committed treason, so they should be punished severely, and that caused a huge international outcry to save these girls to for them not to go back home. And then President Trump got involved, and President Trump's involvement, he basically posted on True Social that Australia shouldn't be sending them back, and it seemed like did its job. So President Trump, with just one post, managed to get Australia to come and save these girls and help them stay in Australia instead of sending them back. but it seemed like some of them are still going back. And given the world attention to this, it could actually go either way. So the ones who are going back, they're going back because the Islamic Republic probably is putting pressure on their family. They did get a message that showed that the Islamic Republic is threatening their family. So I remember the specific messages that the girls got was that we're in touch with your families. That was what the message was, which is an obvious threat. And that's why some of the girls are wanting to go back. So this is very worrisome. I did hear that after they got that message, they did do another national, the anthem of the Islamic Republic, and not only the girls read sang the anthem, but they also did like a salute because they were threatened. So I heard about that. It shows that the pressure has worked on the girls. So the ones who do go back, if I had to guess, is that they would disappear, and we wouldn't know what's happening to them. There's four options: either we will hear about their severe punishment, or they will use them as marketing to be like, "Oh, actually, look, we're actually treating them nicely." And I think if that happens, they are basically going to be forced to come on camera and say whatever the Islamic Republic wants them to say, or they could just disappear. And honestly, given that the Islamic Republic is so much more unpredictable and chaotic right now, it depends on who gets their hands on them first. So right now, where the Islamic Republic policies are so much less organized than they even used to be. So different segments of the Islamic Republic are doing things that other segments, might not agree with, and everybody's doing their own thing because Ali Khamenei is not really there to put everybody in this on the same, put everyone in line. So honestly, what happens to them is depends on who gets their hands on them, because depending on who gets their hands on them, different they might have different outcomes.
Do you think that Australia should have done more to stop them from being taken back if they wanted to stay?
It was embarrassing that the whole world was talking about it, and Australia was like, "Well, like, none of our business." And then President Trump had to get involved to make something happen. I think it was really like it's so disgusting. It's so shameful that like they need to be embarrassed forever that President Trump had to get involved to save these girls. I mean, it's such an obvious thing to do. Like you don't even need to do much. All you have to do is like, yeah, you're not taking these girls. Like that's like it was such an obvious response. I don't know
Okay,
what you
next,
think.
Shadi had a link. Shadi, are you still here with us?
Yes, she's here in the chat. She says yes. Okay, open your
Okay,
mic.
so I will read it.
Oh.
The Prime Minister of Israel posted on X, "People of Iran, we are waging a historic war for liberty. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for you to remove the Ayatollah regime and gain your freedom. Together with the United States, we are hitting the tyrants of Tehran harder than ever." She wanted your opinion on that, if it's as serious as it sounds in her eyes, or what you thought about it. I'll link it as well.
Wait, is it okay? Yeah, link it, please. Let's show it on the screen. Thank you. Let me just bring it up. We could analyze this together. There we go. Thank you, BT. Let's see. All right, let's share the screen. Let's see what Prime Minister Netanyahu has said here. Okay, people. Oh, this is quite recent. This is nice. This is just, guys, this just happened. Okay, Prime Minister Netanyahu saying, people of Iran, we are waging a historic war for liberty. This is so good because it signals that we're going all in. Like it's not about, for liberty means that the Israel is not going to be just stopping by saying like, okay, we just reduced their ability to to launch missiles at us or support proxies in the region. Liberty means that they're all in. to go for the liberty of the Iranian people. That's amazing.
She
So
also
see,
said if you
even
scroll down, there are more also to read, please.
okay, I will. Okay, guys, the fact that Israel is continuing to signal that they're committed to go all in for liberty at this stage is very, very important. Okay, because like a lot of people will assume that initially they will say stuff like this, but once they get involved, then they will back down and they will change their language. But given that they're still continuing to say the word liberty here, shows that they're in it until we get full freedom for the Iranian people. This is a this is a really powerful signal that we're getting. And then he continues, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for you to remove the Ayatollah regime and gain your freedom. Amazing. Together with the United States, we are hitting the tyrants of Tehran harder than ever. This might also suggest that the time for the Iranian people to come out into the streets is coming soon. I don't know, but maybe this is what's happening. Okay, let's go to the next one saying, the Ayatollah is no more, and I know you don't want him replaced with another tyrant, so you must act. We're creating the conditions for you to do so. We have hit continuous regime targets. We have taken out thousands of IRGC thugs and hundreds of their missile launchers. We are focused on regime targets and are doing our best not to harm the people of Iran. We are your ally, your best ally. We fully respect your sovereignty, culture, and heritage. You ask for help, and help has arrived. We will continue to hit with growing force, and their henchmen are on the run, but those cowards have nowhere to hide. In the coming days, we will create the condition for you to grasp your destiny. Your dreams will become a reality when the time is right, and that time is fast approaching. We will pass the torch to you. Be ready to seize the moment. That is so encouraging to hear because the Iranian people say, like, their understanding is that when Israel says they're going to do something, so far they have done it. Like, there's a lot of trust among Iranians. There's a lot of trust from what comes out of Israel because they have a really good record of doing the things that they have said they will do. So this is going to be very encouraging. I can't actually wait to go to read this on the show as well. Thank you for sharing that. That was amazing. Beautiful message, exactly. This gives me a lot of hope. Okay, let's go through the list.
Next, we have Jewish Samantha.
So you were saying that to be like an Ayatollah, you have to have like done a certain amount of like hours like educating people on Shia Islam.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they counted with hours. You just need to have a, I don't know how they measure it, but you need to have a record of
Okay.
teaching Islam, but at a high level, not just like average classes. Like, you need to have, your students need to be high level.
Okay, I was gonna ask if you knew if like you had enough hours teaching about Shia
Oh.
Islam technically.
No. You
Because
want
I
to
mean,
make
I'm
me an
sure you have
Ayatollah?
plenty of hours teaching people about Shia Islam. I mean,
Yeah. No, yeah. You needs to be like on such a higher level, and you need to have like very recognized, like you need to, your students need to be like high level too. Like, your students you need to be teaching mujtahids, for example, or other people who are considered
I
scholars.
want to I want to see you running a hausa.
All right. Well, thank you, Samantha, for wanting to make me an Ayatollah.
yeah, I nominate you for the next Ayatollah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and oh my god, it is
Okay.
so dystopian. Like people are accusing Israel of committing genocide in Iran right now.
In Iran, how?
They're saying Israel's trying to commit genocide in Iran and kill all the Iranians to steal their land for endless land conquest or something.
Oh wow. Okay, these people are so irrelevant when they say such a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, like I don't know. They'll say
I bet these
anything.
people have no knowledge of the many different ethnicities that live within Iran. They're just like, oh, they're all the same people. Like genocide who?
Yep.
Which ethnicity? What do you mean? The fuck you mean? Like
All right.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, thank you. Narnia, yes.
Next,
Genocide in
Jeffrey, do
Narnia.
you
Yeah.
want? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
I switched to the car and I'm not driving.
Not driving. Sure, sure. You're just sitting there. Okay. So who's next? Let me see. Maybe I should bring the list so that we don't kill BT. Jeffrey, did you have something?
So just to kind of put what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu put into context, and this was actually shared and stated by, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, we've hit 5,000 targets so far. That's just open intelligence sources. The strikes that are coming are even greater than what's already happened, which means the IRGC and the mullahs are going to have again an increasingly shitty day. Just to illustrate the amount of steel that's going to be put on target. Also, like the Iranian people should again be sure to stay the hell away from. I'm not saying if it's safe, give us intel via the CIA's apps and all that. Stay the hell away from those targets because yeah, they're going to get deleted.
Can't wait to see that. Yeah, the list that I gave, I hope let me see who do I want gone the most. I think Laurie Johnny, Rodon, and Rohani. If those three people, that would be amazing. Those are three of my on my top 10 list of the people who I want gone. Guys, all the list that I gave you like at the beginning of our talk today, like keep on like when the news comes out, just like look out for those people, see if any of those people are gonna die. Because the list that I gave you are the most significant people left. All right, let's go to Tony.
I just managed to exchange few texts with my friend from inside Iran, and he was cut from internet basically from the start of the war. So he was really in a bubble. But yes, I said to him that I can share his message to you guys if he wants. And basically he wanted to say three things. That first, that his impression of the school attack was that the IRGC hit it, basically. That this was his first thought, but that the media is really pushing the propaganda that they have, that it was USA, and that many people that he knows got really mad about it, that USA did. They were really upset and so mad about it. But yes, that then the next thing that he said was about the internet blockade and the whole one-sided media, was that he got impression that regime is really really successful regarding the fight with USA and Israel. And then I told him about actual latest news about, and he was really shocked and impressed about the epic fury and the roaring lion.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but basically he thought that the regime is kind of winning from the news that he got. Yes, he got this impression from the sources and the talks around the people and stuff like this. But yes, then I told him about what was destroyed and what happened, and he was, wow, all right, so it's going okay. And yes, and then the last thing that maybe connects with the post that you shared is that he said that the IRGC is now hiding like rats, right? And he said, quote, they will kill people, I'm sure, But I'm not sure what is the plan for ending this. These people still have guns and will to kill people. So basically, he's saying that he doesn't know what to do, and many people there don't know actually what to do when the time comes. So yeah, that was basically his message.
Okay, that was very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Did you have any questions, or did you just want to give us updates? Because those were interesting information from your
Just update, but then I asked him if he has any question, but then the internet was cut. So
Oh,
yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving,
problem.
passing that on. That's very helpful. I appreciate that. To not just the update in the news to us, but also updating him. That's very helpful. Thank you. I'm sure he appreciates that. The fact that the Islamic Republic's propaganda is working on some people is good information to have. Shows how big of an information warfare this is, not just military warfare. Okay. Who's it? Danny?
It is me. Thank you. So my question is, how did get selected to be Supreme Leader? Because if he is possibly dead, or at the best case for him, severely injured, who threw his name in the ring? Or is it also possible that intentionally selecting a dead person solves the problem that anyone they choose would be instantly killed?
Okay, so Mojtaba Khamenei has been the next supreme leader for years now. For years. So, for example, Iranians have been chanting like many years ago. There's been a chant inside the streets of Iran in some of our uprisings that goes like this: Mojtaba bemiri rahbari ro nabini, which means Mojtaba, die so that you don't before you become a supreme leader, right? I mean, it's a lot nice. It sounds a lot better in Persian. But the expectation that Mojtaba Khamenei is going to become the next supreme leader has been there for as long as I remember. People talking about the succession plans, right? And Mojtaba Khamenei was part of IRGC, and he used to fight as part of the IRGC. Like, he has military experience, and from the time that he had experience within the was in the IRGC, he built a lot of connections with the IRGC. So he's very well connected within the IRGC, and he's seen as IRGC's. So he has three bases of support always. One was his father. His father wanted him to be the next supreme leader. There's a famous so there was a time where Karoubi was complaining to Ali Khamenei, regarding Mojtaba Khamenei involvement in the elections, right? Ahmadinejad, like he used to he was the one who basically was supporting Ahmadinejad to be president back in the day, right? And he was complaining that to Ali Khamenei, and he was saying your Aghazadeh is like doing this and that. And then Khamenei famously responded to him, he's not an Aghazadeh, he's an Agha. So Aghazadeh means like a son of a sir, like son of like a lord or somebody. And Khamenei said he's not a son, like he's not a son of a lord, he is a lord. Or like, don't, he's a yeah, he was basically showing yeah. So showed how much of a sensitive topic this was for Khamenei, because he usually doesn't talk like that about people, right? Apparently Khamenei was like, his number one fear has always been his children. Like, he was always, people behind the scenes say that that was his greatest weakness regarding what happens to his children when he dies. So he was worried about his daughters and his sons. So he did a lot to try to protect them, including making sure he put everything in place to make sure that Mojtaba becomes a supreme leader after him, even though he pretended that he doesn't. There was a time where people were discussing that whether Mojtaba should become the next supreme leader, and Khamenei famously came and shut it down, like, this is not the time to have this conversation. But all of that was a show. He was the person who picked that, like, he wanted that conversation to take place so he could come shut it down, to make it seem like he's not involved in it, and other people are just so eager to make him supreme leader, not me. And beyond that, the office of the supreme leadership, like the Beit Rahbari, it's its own institution. Like, a lot of people look at the supreme leader and they see one person, but Beit Rahbari is not one person. Beit Rahbari is an entire structure. It's an entire institution, right? So we have the IRGC as an institution, and then we have a Beit Rahbari as another institution. And Beit Rahbari is rich, very, very rich. Like, they have so much money and they have so much influence. So it's not just the person; it's the institution that comes with it. So the Beit Rahbari of Khamenei, what they pay attention, what they think about, and what they're worried about is what happens to the Beit Rahbari of Khomeini. So when Khomeini died and Khamenei became the supreme leader, the people who used to be Khomeini's Beit Rahbari were pushed aside and eliminated. And Khamenei basically did a complete cleansing of all those people and got rid of them, right? So if you are part of the institution of the supreme leadership of the Beit Rahbari, what you want to do is make sure that the next supreme leader doesn't come and just get rid of all the people who are there, and basically all the money and all the political power of that institution goes to completely new people. So those people are very influential of what the Beit Rahbari does, and they want somebody from within the house. Okay, they want somebody from within the structure to be the next supreme leader. Any other supreme leader would be somebody from outside the current Beit Rahbari, which might come in and basically get rid of everybody there. But if it's somebody that is already from within the structure, then they all get to continue stay in power, right? So that has been always there. And then we also have the IRGC. The IRGC's understanding is that Mojtaba Khamenei was going to continue his father's his father's policy, but now with more IRGC control, because Mojtaba would understand that his entire leverage comes from IRGC right now. Given that he doesn't have his father's charisma, he doesn't have his father's loyalty. Like, the people are not loyal to him. He doesn't have his father's, even though his father's religious authority was much less than Khomeini, Mujtaba's is even less. So he has no leverage other than the fact that the IRGC is supporting him, right? So IRGC, knowing that Mujtaba knows everything he has comes from IRGC, and also given that Mujtaba has connections to the IRGC, makes Mujtaba the ideal. So basically, all of the main forces right now would want him to be the supreme leader, which also shows that if he's killed, would be such a great hit to the remaining structure of the Islamic Republic. It's almost like the best outcome would be for him to not have died in the first attack and then died after he became the next supreme leader, because that would be the most humiliating. So if he gets killed eventually, I'm happy that he wasn't taken out in the original strike, because it's more humiliating for him to be such a short term supreme leader than not supreme leader at all. So, yeah. All right.
I can give a party emoji to that, and Aaron is next.
So I've been getting active lately on my YouTube channel. You and Goldie have encouraged me. The video I actually have coming out tonight, it's analysis on the Iraq War 2, where the USA went wrong, and I like to point out how our current leadership, like Steve or Pete Hegseth, is fought on the tactical and strategic level as an officer, and how he has a good view of what went wrong and how we did not remember our lessons from the past with history. In particular, I like to point out World War II, we kept the standing armies of Japan and Germany active, and we left their institutions in place. Whereas Iraq, a politician, not a military general, took all those institutions out, fired 400,000 military security personnel, and left them with no jobs and a way to feed their families. So naturally, they became the militias that our forces fought. So I bring up how these are lessons learned and how the rhetoric I am hearing from our current government is essentially those lessons being proven learned by the fact they're telling the Iranian people, you need to do this. Trump's rhetoric so far has been, this is your only opportunity for probably the next few generations. And I'd just like to kind of point that out and know what other people's thoughts are on if these are signals we have learned from our past mistakes.
And also, you're right. And it's also, this is more, it's not just that we learn from, okay, so let me actually give context, okay, so for people who might not know what happened. I genuinely believe that removing Saddam was a good idea, especially if it then gets matched with removing, the Islamic Republic, right? So a lot of people look short term. I think longer term, right? So removing Saddam and having the Islamic Republic continue to exist doesn't give you as much of an ideal outcome as removing Saddam and also eventually removing the Islamic Republic. Like, this is like, it's fantastic for making the entire world and the Middle East a lot more stable, right? The combination of removing Saddam but continuing to have the Ayatollahs in power doesn't look as, I mean, that what you're doing is that you're making Iraq a playground for the Ayatollahs, right? When you do that, but if you just had, eventually, if you also remove the Ayatollahs, then removal of Saddam looks like so good, like it was a good idea, right? It was like, and it ends up working out, right? So the problem with removal of Saddam was what came after. As you mentioned, the military did their job perfectly. The politicians screwed it up by the de-Baathification of Iraq. So the Baath Party of Saddam, they completely got rid of everybody that was in the government. It was so ridiculous because we remember watching people who didn't even know that they're part of the Baath Party get like kicked out of like any potential government job because their cousin at some point,
I was gonna say, you
their
also had
cousin.
Sadar City in Fallujah, which was not all Ba'athist either. Fallujah was a lot of Al Qaeda. Sadar City, I got my notes. I'll have to double check them, but that was another militia force, which was the namesake of Sadar City, which is a city within Baghdad. So there were multiple militias because you had different secular factions coming
All
up.
right,
And
but
yeah, go ahead.
let me finish my thought because I might lose my chain of thought. Right. So I remember specifically saying like somebody's cousin put their name as something within the Baath Party just so that they could sign up the family for benefits, and just because of that, he was not completely kicked out of everything government involvement related. So like an entire group of people were like, "Yep, you are jobless right now." All right, and not only that, they got rid of the framework of how everything operated, right? Which was a mistake, which caused a decade of chaos and eventually gave rise to ISIS and everything like that, right? I mean, ISIS's original, some of the people who joined ISIS originally, they weren't really that even like radical Islamists. They were like, I know how to, I only know how to use a gun, right? And there's no job, so I like they just became radicalized because of that, right? So this is a mistake that apparently like it's good that they have Hex that is communicating that they're not going to be doing that. Let's give credit to Prince Reza Pahlavi because he has been talking about not repeating the debathification mistake for years right now, before anybody else was talking about this, right? And now everybody is talking about it. So he has been talking about this for years. The fact that once he got so much shit from many Iranians for this, because like, oh, you want to continue working with the Islamic Republic? People who used to work for the Islamic Republic, so many people who used to not support him thought that like, oh, he must be an agent of the Islamic Republic who's saying that, oh, like we have to forgive certain people who are right now within the Islamic Republic and make them continue to do the job once the Islamic Republic falls. Another thing I just want to add is that so America is like, we're not going to do nation building, right? Which is not just learning from the mistakes of Iraq, but it's also something that works so well with Iran not having to do nation building, because I think the Iranian people are so much in such a better position to do their own nation building. They are very patriotic. They have such a strong national identity. and they, Aaron, like mute your mic a little bit, just a little bit longer. I'm almost done. Sorry, because I'm hearing background. They have such a strong national identity. They're very united on what needs to be done once the Islamic Republic falls, and they have the proper values. Like they are very secular minded, very democratic, very much believe in equal individual rights, very much eager to maintain the border integrity of Iran. So they have this set of the proper values, the set of proper values that is required to do nation building. So if there's any nation right now that wants to get rid of their oppressors, they will be able to do their, and they're very educated, they're very entrepreneurial, they're very business minded, they're very educated. If there's any group of people that will be able to do their own nation building without anyone else doing the nation building for them, it's the Iranian people. Go on, Aaron. Sorry, that went long.
Yeah, so I don't want to take anything away from the Iraqi people, because I think the Iraqi people would have been perfectly capable of, as was example in the Anbar Awakening, because that's essentially what that was. It was them stepping up into the role. And I always have to argue with people, because I always argue Iraq was a success. It was our testing ground of a regime change. We saw what went wrong. Iraqi people are very educated as well. They have an 80% literacy rate. And then I compare it to Afghanistan, where I personally was, where there was only like a 12% or 20% literacy rate, which is also why it was a lot harder of a fight, because people, it's a lot harder when you're not educated to preach classic liberal ideals. I think that it was putting a politician in particular in charge of the decision making and not a military general, I think, is what led to the big blunder that was Iraq, personally, because that was the difference. World War II, military generals ran it. They kept the militaries intact of our defeated nations. Iraq, a politician, I believe his name was Bremer, ran it. He fired all of them, completely dismantled everything, which spread coalition forces, who, mind you, were in Iraq without the support of NATO, very thin, leaving them as the only police force available for the entire country. Spread too thin. You know this typical lesson of military strategy, Armin. You get spread too thin, what happens? Chaos and vacuum.
By the way, Aaron, I just want to say Susanna and Ali. No, you misunderstood me. They're saying in the chat, thank you for your service. So I just also want to mention thank you for your service, because Susie and other people in the chat are writing that as well. And yeah, thank you so much.
If you pay American taxes, I thank you for the taxes. I am a pensioner, so I still collect.
I got you, bro. Don't worry.
More people are saying in the chat, thank you for your service. More people are saying that. Thank you. That's very sweet. You guys are awesome. Actually, now that you mentioned taxes, I feel like the whole world is actually benefits from your service, and us non-Americans are not even paying for it, so we owe you big time.
I think that's going to change given Trump's rhetoric that Europe's paying for more now. I think we're going to be good there. I think Iran is going to be like, hey, America, we got you on the free healthcare. We're going to pay you back. Here's some of that oil money. We got you guys. You American soldiers, you guys did it.